Hi everyone. Today's topic is a bit different because I was playing with an MCP, and my idea was that when I work with TestFlight last year and even this year, what I have realized is that I have to open App Store Connect, which is a slow website in itself, and then go to TestFlights and then get the feedback, click on a feedback, get the a comment that the person gave me and the screenshot, and then put them back in Claude Code or Cursor. This whole flow, I realize, can now be automated because this year at WWDC 25 they announced a new API for getting a beta submission, and it is a normal API that we can directly use, similar to how we can have listing of the apps. So I had been eyeing for such an API, and Joshua, my friend, has an MCP. So what I did was I cloned the MCP, and then I had a good discussion with Claude Code on how I should go about creating the new methods. So if I what I usually do is use Clauded. The idea is that it's an alias where it adds the parameter of dangerously skip permissions, which is fun when you're working on something non-critical. So if I show you the conversation, what was it? Chat. Oops. Oh my god. When you're recording, you just kind of I think resume a conversation. So I was having a conversation, if you see, from 3 hours ago. So it's almost, is it 2000 messages? So I was constantly having a back and forth on how to implement this this new endpoint. So this is probably going to be the last or the first video where I'm discussing TypeScript, but I'm not a TypeScript person. I cannot write on my own. It's a skill issue because I never realized that I need to write it, because you have Sonnet 4 or Opus 4 which does the job very well. But I can understand that this is an async method, and this is the name of the method, and this is the argument that it takes and gives me back this as the response. Very similar to Swift in terms of the idea remains the same across all the languages. So that was one thing. So the idea is that you have endpoint, and you have to give it the bundle ID, the app ID, and based on that app ID it will fetch the feedback. So it would also give me, so if I also provide the filter as in the device platform or the model that I want to have, so I can have those filters as well. And then there's another method called on getting the screenshots. The idea is that you, because they are screenshots, and you need to, what App Store does is it provides you with a link that is authorized and it expires. So you have to take the screenshot and download it, and then I pass it back as the response as well, as the beta feedback screenshot submission response after downloading it. And after, so that the content type is the text, that is the main text, and then the image, which is encoded, base encoded 64, and then returned, because this is what the MCP or the protocol wants as the response. So this is a very standard thing of working, but the exciting part is the MCP itself. So if you see in Cursor, if I will zoom in a bit, so it says list the first 5 apps on the App Store, and then it will call the list apps method, and when it calls the list method, it gets the app ID as well. And then I would say for foundation model, get the feedback, so it calls the method called list beta feedback screenshots, and then it gets the screenshots with a lot of emojis, a lot of them, and the key pattern issues to address. Then I just added a comment that for the first one, get detailed feedback including the screenshots. Then it called that particular method where the requirement is the feedback ID. So the feedback ID is something I get from each of the feedback. If I go back to the response, you can see that we have a type, and then this is the feedback ID. And then in the method itself, it says, okay, it's a critical issue, it's for an iPad, and this is the user comment. And then it analyzes the screenshot, the image, and from the image it passed out the text itself, which was the operation could not be completed for the generation error, and then says the UI elements were there. And then it also analyzes the issue for us, like what is the trigger question and what can be the likely root cause of it. And then I can just say, please fix this for me. And then it will go and research the code base to understand where this issue is likely coming from. So the main idea for me was to reduce the friction when I'm shipping a ton. So because I know I will get a lot of feedback on my test flight in the next 20 days or next 80 days. Next 80 days. So I would want to reduce as much as friction as possible. So in the morning I would just say list me the feedbacks from TestFlight, and it would list all the recent ones from yesterday, and then I will say okay, let's work on the first one, and even kind of create a GitHub issue if it can. So this is one thing that I really wanted. The second one that I will work on, this MCP, and another endpoint that they've added is getting the crash logs, and that would be pretty amazing as well. So I'm not sure how much because working with Claude, there's a limit of 25,000 characters for as the response that you get from a tool call, and I need to see if I can kind of summarize the log or if it will pass that 25,000 limit or not. So you can see that okay, it says that device specified query failed. So it is trying to get the issue is. So with that, you can see that it is doing much better handling for the given method, and this is what I wanted to show. Another thing was that this MCP was a pretty old one in the sense that the SDK wasn't updated, so I had some problems when I was working with Claude Code. Claude Code I think still has a problem where it would not take the image. It's a limitation, but when I was working with the Claude desktop app, it could easily work with it very easily. So this is the thing that I wanted to mention. So I hope you learned something about creating MCPs, and I hope you have a good day.